I'm gonna be honest, feel crap. That was a really hard section. I'm beat up. I'm doing a 15k loop up Fan Hir and Fan Brycheiniog. For this loop I start at Tafarn y Garreg, heading straight up the mountain along the Beacons Way high route, reaching the first main peak, which is Fan Hir, descending Fan Hir and then ascending Fan Brycheiniog, which is at 802 metres, then following the ridge to Fan Foel, before breaking from the Beacons Way high route down towards Llyn y Fan Fawr. I then continue along the Beacons Way low route all the way back to Tafarn y Garreg. About 4 weeks ago I ran the 100-mile Beacons Way. Video is there for you if you want to click on it. And this was part of the section that almost broke me. It was absolutely challenging. I've run this route so many times in the past. I was overconfident thinking I'll easily manage this. This is going to be no problem. Even 70 miles in this will be fine. But the truth was so different. It was such a hard experience. So I've come back now not only to show you what it actually looks like in the day, because I did it in the night time, but on top of that, just for my own sanity, I guess, saying I can still do this and this route doesn't have to necessarily break me. Anyway, let's go. $1K since the church. Just finished the initial bite, as I call it, so that first climb up Fan Hir. No matter how many times you do it, it's always a calf burner. There's always a road with spectacular views. I'm glad today that it's daytime, no wind or rain. Yeah, looking out to be a nice day. Stunning view already. $2K since the church. Calf muscles are burning a little bit, but the absolute worst of the inclines are done. There's still a lot of climbing to do. We've done about 250 meters of elevation in those 2K. Not a lot of running, to be honest. It's more power hiking up. So 3K in since the church or Tafarn y Garreg, wherever you started. They're right next to each other. We've done just over 400 meters of elevation now, so nowhere near as intense as the first bit, but still, you know, it's a constant slog uphill. This is the point as well, that almost always the wind hits you as you rise to this point, and if the weather's really bad or it's cold or dark, you start feeling really exposed to the elements. Above some of the clouds. 4K in, just coming up to the peak of Fan Hir. Loving it today. It's just so much nicer doing it fresh. This is the peak of Fan Hir. Just see Fan Brycheiniog over there in the distance. So that's the highest peak in this side of the Brecon Beacons. 802 meters, 5K. You can see the peak behind me of Fan Hir, and just ahead you can see Fan Brycheiniog and Foel right, I think it is, the second one, and that's where we're heading up to today, which is still along the Beacons Way high level track, and then we descend to the low level track, which you can see just below me now as well. And this one is Llyn y Fan Fawr, so one of the two glacial lakes in the Brecon Beacons. Absolutely stunning. 6k, so it's a little bit further to the peak than I thought. I thought it was 5. Still glorious day, still feeling great compared to the race, and we're just approaching the peak of Brycheiniog. Again, you can just see the lake, glorious. What I'll say is I remember being really low at this point in the race. I think this is the point I was at my lowest, talking about a message to my friends and being the master of my own domain. I'm glad I'm not feeling like that today. A good friend of mine sent me a message, give me a little pep talk saying, be the master of your own domain. So psyching myself up. Reservoir in the distance, spectacular. View from Fan Foel. $7k, so we're off the Beacons Way and Cambrian Way sort of like trails. $8k, we're on the low level route. We've come down a technical descent, never done that before, so that was interesting. On the way up we saw a couple of other trail runners, noticed they had bib numbers on, and of course it was some of the front runners, pack leaders on the Dragon's Back. So they've just done day 5, or they're on day 5, absolute legends. Llyn y Fan Fawr, serene. 9k, just going around Llyn y Fan Fawr, and in the distance over there you can just see the 2 Dragon's Back runners I mentioned. Caught up with the 2 from the Dragon's Back, and absolutely mesmerised that they are ahead of me, even though they've been running for 5 days. 10k, and we are nice, gentle, open slope downhill along the cliffs, which is always spectacular. $11k, running along this really narrow, I guess you can call it a ridge, but it's not like a big major peak or anything. But again, you got the cliffs of Fan Hir on one side, on the other side in the distance you got Conwy, and Pen y Fan. Just before that you've got Hir Ridge, I think it is, something along those lines. And in the distance there you can just about see my local mountain. .12k. The open moorland is starting to end a bit. Starting to get to much smaller, narrower tracks with a lot of mud. It's quite boggy terrain. Not like, well actually I was about to say not really boggy when suddenly you come to a bog. Running along a stream with a couple of little waterfalls, which is very beautiful. One of the many little waterfalls along this stream. .13k. It's gotten really muddy now. Downhill sometimes with a dog, Peanut, my dog. Been pulling me down, doing quad busters. Not sure if you can see that, but another stunning little waterfall. How about this for an even better angle of that waterfall? .14k, basically ferns and slightly technical terrain. So 15k, the end of the run basically. It's been a lovely little loop, thoroughly enjoyed it. Great training run. We've done about 730 meters of elevation and the same in descent because it's a loop. We've run across rivers, mountains, ridges, cliff edges, top and bottom, a lake, some waterfalls in the stream. I don't really know what else you could want in a trail run, so I highly recommend this Hir and Breccheiniog loop.